yet. And anybody that's a co-host, you just have to hit okay.
Mhm. And we're going to start this meeting.
And so let's have host spotlight our new fearless leader for everybody.
Here's our president. This is our new president, Paulette.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So
Welcome,
anyway,
Paulette.
thank you everybody for coming to our Zoom meeting and our February meeting. And here's Evelyn from Cabo. And I want to thank Rochelle and Hannah for their working together and setting up this fabulous meeting with Melissa Fowler and Creative and Indigenous. And we'll be to see her fabulous work coming up. And I can't believe we're already in February. So February is still the winter, and we're sitting here beating for peace, one beat at a time. And so I am so excited that we're working on this project together. And if you have any questions regarding our Peace Chain project, you can go to our website, Upper Midwest, it's umbs.org, and you'll find the Peace Ring project on a page, and you can hit all the documents and whatever. And like I said, if you have any questions or have any suggestions or ideas, free, email me at umbs.org@gmail.com. And we are actually midway point on this project. And the Toho Peace Ring project, we are thinking in meters. So 2/3 of a mile for Upper Midwest Beach Society is 1,060 meters. So I am actually talking to everybody and telling them to bead in metric meters. And I just want to say in my present message, which is my second one in February, or in February, I mentioned that we had 10 bead organizations throughout the United States working on this project. Well, I'm happy to say we have two more. We have Buck County Bee Society that's also joined, and also Central California Bee Society. And Central California Bee Society actually put all three flyers in their newsletter in January. So, and reason I know that because I'm a member of that Bee Society. So, so we are continuing. I'm continuing to spread the word with many organizations. I actually sent an instant message to somebody with Beadworkers Guild, and I got a contact. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'll maybe be able to get a contact with Beadworkers Guild.
Cool.
So, and
Great.
and we'll talk about later, because Grace was able to ask them to use one of their patterns for the craw, one of our patterns, to give that tutorial on how to do craw from Beadworkers Guild. And they said, sure. So anyway, so if you have any questions to find out what's going on in the coming months, go to our calendar page and our website. And Hannah and Rochelle has been on hiatus for our Let's Bead Live. That's going to start back up in March. But in the meantime, I will have my own Zoom, which is, I put in the chat. It's called Let's Make Peace Chains Together, Bead and Chat. And that is going to be Saturday, February 21st from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock Central Time. And I'll be posting the link on our website. And I will also be sending out an email shortly to everybody, just as a reminder. And I'll begin sending this message, the link, to all the bead organizations and the people I know that are participating in this. So, but please join me. We'll chat. We'll do a show and tell and have fun while we're making some peace chains. The next thing we have in March, which is coming up, we'll start our next March 2nd is Helena Tang Lim, which is fast. It's going to be Zoom only. And we'll start our Let's Be Live via Zoom only March 21st. But the most fun thing we got coming up in March is our spring bead retreat. And Grace has been doing an excellent job getting it all planned out. You go to our retreat page. Pretty soon we're going to have all the documents up there, the registration form and information, and the dates are, drum roll, March 18th through the 22nd. And we have a fabulous time. We bead, we chat, have conversations, we have classes. But we're going to do a couple of things. We always give away raffle prizes and all sorts of stuff. But we're going to have some contests regarding our piece chain. Bring in your piece chain. We're going to measure it. And the person that brings in the longest chain is going to win a prize. And then during the retreat, we're going to be taking classes and having fun, but we're also going to be making some piece ring chains. We're going to measure those, and the person that has the longest chain they produced at the retreat is also going to get a prize. So that's just two other bonuses. We always have raffles, kits, all sorts of things that we give away at the retreat. And we have 4 classes coming up. We got Doris that's teaching a netting possibilities, working on off a project, off a bottle, necklaces. So she's going to explain to you how you can use the netting stitch to create some really fabulous designs. Sue Swanson, she showed that. She's going to do her red work pin wrap. And I'm going to be teaching Croix, how to do the basic stitch, how to learn the process of making the cross stitch, how to use a starter strip and other starter strips or other projects. And then Becky's going to be teaching bead embroidery. So we're going to have 4 classes. It's going to be fabulous. So everybody, again, thank you again for coming tonight. And I'm going to turn this over to Rochelle and Anna.
Take the spotlight. And so we totally appreciate all the new people who just came on in. And we also, one fun thing is if anybody wants to do more rogue promoting of the piece chain is on social media. We're trying to, our promotion mainly is a lot of what's on your bead mat, since if you have too many words, people are getting flagged and it's not getting shared as much. So the piece chain, beads for peace, all kinds of fun things like that. And my 21-year-old coworker just came up to me at work the other day and was jumping up and down going, "Oh my God, you're on Reddit. You're on Reddit. You're on Reddit." And so the peace chain is now on Reddit, apparently. And so I didn't think that that was, but it is apparently is a really big deal if you're under 30. And that's how they get their news. Unlike the rest of us who, um, are a little older fashioned. And so any way you want to get it out. Also, we are now doing a campaign putting up flyers with the QR codes to our peace chain, all about and the Lotus workshops. And so we're putting them on bulletin boards at your co-ops, bulletin boards at small businesses. We're putting them up all over the place, trying to spread the word, because that's also how people 30 and under actually do things in life, is they scan the QR code and they get involved. So if you want our new abbreviated flyer, which now is the QR code about this big and a few other things, so that you can post it everywhere, anywhere you like. Lotus Beads Cat will gladly send it to you. And so any way you want to get the information out to any group you want, share the word. Any beads you want, any stitch you want, and between 1 to 3 inches. Reinforce them really good so they're really tight, really good, really strong, won't break. Um, and tell your friends, get them involved. If you want beads, let me know. We'll get you beads. Or we don't have a workshop. Um, and so then, Hannah, do you want to tell us about our upcoming March, just to get some people to make sure to get it on their calendar?
I've already put a little bit of note in the chat, but as Paulette said, for our our March members meeting, Helena Tsang Lim is going to be zooming in all the way from Singapore to speak to us about her beautiful work. And then my friend Helen O'Donnell will be going ahead and teaching us a pair of earrings for our Saturday Bead Live. So it's March is all about the Helens.
Yeah.
So and then so in April, who do we have in April? In April we have Patty Parker, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, super exciting. And then is it Maggie, our April Let's Be Live?
I believe so. Yes, Maggie is our Let's Be Live in
She
April.
comes back from the cold north, but she will be zooming in, or the warm south to the
Right.
cold north. So we're so excited that we have so much wonderful in-house support. And do we have any more announcements? Anybody else from announcements before? My gosh, we're so quiet.
I know, right? Everybody's waiting for Mel to start, so let's let her start.
Exactly
Shall we announce
what
her?
I was gonna say. So, Hannah, would you take and introduce our wonderful
I
guest?
am so excited to introduce Melissa Fowler to you because I don't know, I, thi- I I believe that you're the one that found her for us, Rochelle,
I
but
had many, many people from my circles keep putting things in my feeds on social media and all around and spreading me and sending me
oh, this is so
names
exciting.
because many of my friends, Doris is well familiar with Melissa and Wendy Roy and many of our other local friends and family. And so, and you're very close, you're in Wisconsin.
Right.
So,
So, um, Mel is zooming in from the Maple Plain community in Cumberland, Wisconsin, and she creates jewelry, accessories, art, and other items that utilize natural mediums. And we're going to hear about them some today. Looking through her pieces, they're these beautiful multimedia pieces that use birch bark and leather and buckskin and beads, of course. And I see some wood and all kinds of wonderful things. And she and her husband Thomas enjoy incorporating natural and traditional patterns, and she's going to tell us about them today. Her business, Creatively Indigenous, was begun officially in May 2018. And she's going to talk, I hope, today about how they take things from the earth and respectfully and carefully, and I just can't wait to hear. So I'm going to ask that everybody turn off their uh, their microphone and put questions into the chat. And when Melissa is ready, then we will read them out to her. And then at the end, she's going to show us some pieces and have a trunk show. So, Melissa,
Thank you,
welcome.
Hannah.
welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invite. And it looks like we have like a really decent sized audience here
We
today. You guys
do.
got a nice big group and sounds like you're involved in a lot of awesome, really awesome projects. So glad that you thought of me for your live today. I'm gonna start my PowerPoint. And I guess just a forewarning, full disclosure, I have my huge family here and I have 6 kids. So they're all downstairs and playing and doing stuff. And I told them to give mom some time so she could be up here. My space, my workspace here is in the living room. So there's no door. So you may hear things from time to time. Full
Well, you'll have
disclosure.
to introduce them if they interrupt.
Yeah. Well, my husband is up here, I think. Tom, you want to come over here? You on the camera? He's a big part of the art that we do too, and he's a fantastic birch bark artist who kind of I don't know if you can get on here with me.
Hi.
Hi.
I love art. Love my wife. I love
Aw.
that. I love that she makes art. So,
That's Tom.
Sounds like a keeper.
Yeah, and if you guys do have questions, please feel free to chime in and stop me. So I'm gonna share my PowerPoint screen. There we go. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Can everyone hear
You
me?
bet.
Good.
I can hear
Awesome.
you. Can
Perfect.
everybody else hear? I'm good.
You bet.
All right. Well, I'm going to start out with my traditional introduction protocols. So, Buju, Anin, Niigaaniigaabowikwe, Anishinaabe, Niigaaniigaabowikwe, Wikunimatalingasing, and Dunjaba. My name is Melissa Fowler. My Ojibwe name translates into first standing woman. It's a name that I was told is like a leadership kind of name. I live on the Maple Plain Reservation, so I live outside of Cumberland, Wisconsin, if you know where that is, a couple counties into Minnesota from the Twin Cities. I am a Lakota tribal member, so that's up by Hayward. And I live on my husband's reservation here in St. Croix. And the reservations around here are kind of scattered throughout the counties. I think there's like six communities scattered around in different parts of the counties. So we're kind of spread out a little ways. But yeah, so I'm excited. This is a picture of a birch bark purse that I had made. It was one of my first purses that I made with birch bark applique. And so I wanted to incorporate some Ojibwe language too. So we call birch bark wigwas. Wigwas is a piece of birch bark. Wigwasatig is a birch tree. And then wigwasimatig, that's just another form of the birch tree. This is my, if you go to www.creativelyindigenous, you'll come up on this landing page, and you can dig through, and there's some stories about an introduction of me, like the events that we're going to be at. It will show you my shop and all the jewelry that's available for sale, some of the past shows that we've done, things like that. And then this is a picture of myself and my husband when we went to the State of the Tribes. My husband, Thomas, he is on the St. Croix Tribal Council. And I think during this time he was the chairman, but last year he was, he gave the State of the Tribes address at Madison. And so he's kind of an important person in his tribe. So that's a picture of us together. And this beadwork I made, it was a choker. I think those are size 11 seed beads that I had made. And then a friend made my skirt. So prior to getting involved in the art, I was kind of like not living such a good way. I was young, like the drinking and all the other bad things that sometimes we do as young people. So I really didn't dive deep into culture and arts and things until I was about my early 20s. My daughter here, there's a picture of her with her blanket. And so I should backpedal here. I wasn't raised with Ojibwe culture. My dad was non-native, my mom was native, but she moved away from her tribe in the cities and kind of we moved out to the country. So I didn't grow up with Native American cousins or aunties or uncles, and I didn't even have my first Native American friend until I was like 16 years old. So it wasn't until I started dating my husband when I was 16 years old, and his family was very and is very traditional. They follow the culture, traditions, ceremonies. And so when my daughter was about 7 years old, she went through a big ceremony, which would be kind of similar to like being baptized into the culture, into the stories and the legends and traditions. And so when she was 7, she went through that ceremony, and I wasn't a part of it at the time, so I didn't really get to see and be a part of her ceremony in the way that a member would have been. a part of it. And so after she went through, I decided it was something that I wanted to do. And so I got involved, and I guess you could consider it like initiating. And I started my path, gotten involved in some really just an awesome space. It's just a wonderful group of people to even be involved in. And so that at the top on the left, you see these are some of the boss ladies and the men that run it. We call them Oshkobaywikes, and they run the ceremonies. Fabulous, amazing people. And then on the top right was a woman duty. We all took a picture after we were doing some of the activities together. So that really just kind of kicked off my wanting to get involved in traditional art, traditional culture more. And so that's kind of where it all started. The bottom left, that's a picture of my daughter when she went through her ceremony. We made traditional tobacco together. We were able to harvest and make that from the trees, from the wood. So that's what kicked everything off for me. Totally changed my life. I started to make bigger projects. So when I was getting ready to go through my time, one of the requirements for something like this was to make a lot of gifts. And so I started becoming more artistic and making quilts. And so this top picture is one of the first quilts that I made. It was a big project. It taught me to be patient. I didn't make any of my quilts from patterns. I just kind of cut and sewed them all together. And it was like the first realization that, put your time and your energy into something and it can amount to like huge, big things. So it was a really healing time for me to make all of these things. I started to dive into other avenues. I really wanted to dance and at the powwows. I'd never danced before. So the bottom right, that's a picture of the first set of regalia I ever made for myself. It was a woman's traditional dress with ribbons, a shawl that's kind of draped over that chair right there, my belt, that purse, that black purse with the florals was the first purse that I ever beaded for myself. And then it's like a tradition to have a eagle feather fan when you dance, and so I made that just from learning from elders, and just kind of winging it, really watching YouTube videos on how to bead and just kind of teaching myself how to do these things. I made my husband a breastplate so he could dance, and then I made myself a kind of a contemporary kind of bone hair pipe breastplate too, and then we both just started dancing. And I just really loved working with birch bark. Tom, are you still up here? You want to tell them the story of when we first started working with birch bark, because it's kind of like his bag right here. Like when we started to make natural jewelry, we got into a big fight, and I told him to get out of the house, and he ran out into the woods and came back. No, just kidding. But I don't know. So when we first started to work with birch bark,
oh God, that's a tough one. I've been working with birch bark most of my life. When I was a kid, my grandmother used to sit out in the yard, and I used to sit with her. We would make bird houses, um, just different items that we can utilize around the house. And one day I was watching her, and she grabbed a piece of birch bark because her hair was in her face, and she was having a hard time trying to figure out what she was going to do. And so I watched her, and she grabbed a piece of birch bark, and she pulled her hair back, and she put the birch bark, and she made a barrette out of a pen and out of a piece of birch bark. So when Melissa asked me to go grab her she gave me tobacco and a knife to go grab some birch bark for her in the woods. And as I was doing that, that was like my aha moment, because I had that memory of my grandmother putting her hair up using birch bark. And so I ran back to the house and I came in and I told Melissa I was all excited. I'm like, we can do this. We can actually do this. We can work with birch bark. And it flourished. We were actually able to keep my grandmother's art form alive by doing that. And all it started was with Melissa sending me into the woods. And so it was really beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing.
And so this is one of the first birch bark barrettes that he had made just by layering different shapes, and we call it a flower basket. And later it would become our logo. Our logo is based off of this first barrette. And he actually ended up gifting this to his grandma, his other grandma, Grandma Misco. She was a very highly revered elder at the St. Croix community, and he ended up gifting that to her too. But these were just some of the first earrings that we started making. We were both working, I think we were both working at the casino at this time, needed a little bit extra income, so we started to make just little simple earrings. We'd gift them to our ceremony family, and then we would go to powwows and then sell them too. So it just started out very simple shaped birch bark earrings. Yeah. So this is Tom. This is a piece of birch bark that he had harvested. And so when we go out into the woods and we harvest our birch bark, one of the first things that we do is we give that tobacco to we put it down next to the tree, and we're taught that tobacco, we call it a sema. It was like one of the first medicines that the Creator gave to us to use to, connect with the spirits and to give thanks. And so we're always supposed to, show gratitude and give thanks to anything that we take from the earth. Everything, we're told everything has a spirit and that we need to be thankful. And I always give my tobacco to the trees, and because taking that bark from that tree, that allows me to take care of my family. So it's very meaningful for me. We're also told too that if you don't, offer your thanks and be respectful, that things can happen. Like we were told that, I don't know how to say this without saying too much, but like bad things could happen if you're greedy, or, you're not doing things in a good way, then maybe something will happen to you. And so you always want to make sure that you're doing things, being mindful, gathering in a good way. We also have been told stories of from our elders that an appropriate time to take birch bark. So we're told like when the deer flies and the horse flies come out and they're giving you a hard time, that's the perfect time to go out into the woods and fend for your life away from all of those bugs. But they're a good sign that it's time to harvest. And when you harvest during that time, that birch bark will pop off perfectly. You can actually hear it, and it will go pop, 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 pop when you do your cuts around the tree. And it's good because you're not having to pull it and potentially rip the tree. We're also taught that when you take from the tree, you're not supposed to go too deep into the tree, because then if you pierce through that layer in the inside, it could expose the tree to disease, and we don't ever want to hurt the tree or injure the tree to where it will potentially die. We want to take it so that it's not harming the tree. And so I didn't know that that was a thing. When I went and started posting some of my art online, I would get people saying, how awful is it that you're taking the bark, you're killing the trees? And I just didn't know how big of a misconception that was. So I made a TikTok that covers, and I'm wondering if I can play it. My computer was working a little bit slow earlier, so let's see if I can get this to play, because it shows what the tree looks like when the second bark starts growing back. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. And if you can't hear this, let me know. Oh, it's very quiet. Can you guys hear this? Oh, maybe
We
it's
can
not
see
gonna
it, but I can't hear it. But it does have.
I wanted to quash a popular misconception and misunderstanding about harvesting birch bark and show you all what second bark or regenerative bark looks like. A common assumption circulating that came to our attention on social media and by doing craft shows and art exhibits is that the birch tree will die if its bark is stripped or harvested. This is not accurate. A birch tree will not die if its bark is simply harvested. A birch tree will indeed live a healthy, long life for many, many years and will also go on to repopulate when it is harvested in a good way. We personally harvest our birch bark following teachings that were passed on to us from our elders who had learned from their elders, and so on and so forth. Here are a few birch trees that have been harvested at different times. Some of these spots were originally harvested prior to 2015. There are some spots that were harvested in 2018, 2019, and then there are some spots that were harvested more recently within the past few years. Notice how the bark regenerates and grows back. With original pieces harvested over 10 years ago, you can see that this tree is very much alive with lush green leaves. I love seeing trees that have been harvested in other communities and reservations. It's a beautiful reminder that our culture and traditions are still being followed. Our ancestors have been utilizing birch bark in their daily lives for countless generations and knew how to collect respectfully and with care. We've learned that there is a proper time of the year and technique to harvest bark so that it will pop off the tree with minimal effects or distress to the tree. In many communities, for instance, in Anishinaabe communities, there are proper protocols to follow in asking for certain teachings and knowledge. So if you want to learn more about harvesting bark in a good way, you can approach an elder or respected community member with a sema tobacco and ask about the teachings that are sacred and relevant to your tribe and your community. I hope that this video was useful to you, that you learned. All right. I just wanted to share that with everyone. I didn't realize how big of a misconception that was. Oh, go. Oh no. Sorry, my computer's so slow. I didn't know that it was going to start over.
It's nice seeing all the pictures again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
So in that video, there was a piece of birch bark that looks just like this. And so when I went to the Minnesota Historical Society, I was looking through some of their birch bark baskets and I found this one and I took a picture of it and I was like, wow, look at this birch bark. That doesn't even look like birch bark. I'm like, what kind of birch tree was that? And I was trying to figure it out. And then when I was doing that TikTok video, I was looking at the tree we harvested like 10 years ago and the birch bark was the same. I'm like, that's second bark that they made that basket with. And so it was really cool to see that. And then I have so many questions now about who made this basket. And I want to say this basket might have been early 1900s. So whoever made this basket took it from a tree that was already harvested at one point. So really kind of cool to see that. I also seen pieces that had their applique was made out of second bark because it's that rustic, really pretty birch bark, and they were using that for the embellishment. So it was really cool to go there and see that up front. And so we were doing our art was on the side up until this point. My husband and I were both working full time and our family was growing. I was a social worker prior to 2018. I graduated from the University of Wisconsin Stout and I was working as a foster care and adoption coordinator for the St. Croix tribe. And I was getting just kind of like really burnt out. I was overloaded with work and I was trying to be a good mom too. And I was missing out on everything. So I knew from my job that there was two kids. And so Naya, she's the one with the headband on, and her little baby brother, Coy, are right there. I knew they were on my caseload and they were about to be adopted out of the tribe. And so I went to my boss and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to quit. I think I'm going to get licensed to be a foster care provider, and I'm just gonna do that. I feel like I could be a better mom doing that to all of the kids, all of my kids. And so that's what I decided to do. I decided to quit my full-time job, become a foster licensed parent, and then do my birch bark on a more of a full-time basis. And so that's what happened. In 2018, we launched Creatively Indigenous. We started doing more art shows. Um, I launched our online page. I started with Etsy first, and then I later navigated to my own website. And then in June of 2019, we adopted both of them. So we went from having 4 kids to having 6 kids real quick. But it was such an amazing time when we first launched our business and having all of our kids together. I have such an awesome memory of being able to have them all in my bed, and we were watching Boss Baby all at the same time on my bed, and it was just crowded. I'm just like, I can't believe this is my huge family. It was such a like wonderful moment for me. And so I kept doing all kinds of projects. I started getting more involved in beadwork. I was dancing a lot more. Our family was going on the powwow trail, hitting all the powwows. And so I started to dive in more beadwork. Um, the top middle was some hair ties I made, the red set earrings and headband. And then I started making my own regalia. This is a jingle dress that I had made. My husband was dancing too, and so I did some embroidery and I made him a bandolier bag that had some beadwork on it as well. And when I got tired of doing birch bark, I would go to beadwork, or I'd always find something that I would love to make. And so that's how I kind of moved back and forth through those things. Then I started getting more involved in revitalization, knowing that birch bark is kind of, I don't want to say it's like a dying art form, but it kind of is at the same time. Not a lot of people work with it. And the people that do work with it do a lot of basketry. Not a lot of people do applique work. And applique work is actually one of our oldest art forms too. And so my husband, he made this hat, and this is Naya. She's wearing his birch bark hat. I drew those woodland florals on the hat, and he used like a laser engraver to burn them into the birch bark. And so he ended up going to the powwows and dancing with that hat too. But revitalization was like a whole new ball game. Like I was able to go to the Minnesota Historical Society and look through all of their collection items that they have in the basement, and just walking through and digging in those cases and pulling out the drawers and looking at all of these items that they had was just, it blew me away. It was so amazing. And like one of the first items that I came across were these birch bark earrings that were made, like I think they were pre-1930s is what they had said. And so they were just little pieces of birch bark, very tightly woven into like almost like a little corkscrew shape. And I was just like, it was almost like being starstruck by these items. It's like, who made these? I just had so many questions. I also got to see this napkin holder that was beaded, and then to learn that a lot of these items were made as souvenir items for the passerbys that would come through the area. And so women, Anishinaabe, moms and grandmothers, they'd be making all these kinds of different items so that they could trade them with the passerbys and, provide for their families in all of those other ways too. And so I just felt so connected to that story, because here I was trying to do the same thing in my own sense, take care of my family and make birch bark art and just live in a good way and have a good life with it. And so I just loved seeing those items. I got to see some really cool old style applique work. And it was like looking at these items too, knowing how old they were. It's just like, what tools were they using? I mean, their scissors couldn't have been as sharp as mine, and I would have a hard time cutting out all those little edges. So it was really cool seeing this old style applique work. I just loved it. And then on the right here, I stumbled into another drawer that had these birch bark fans, and I had never even heard of a birch bark fan. I've never seen a birch bark fan in person. And these ones were really cool because they at one point had dyed porcupine quills that would embellish them. And a lot of them came out, but they still have like the remnants of a few of the designs, and you can see the designs on these fans. And I just fell in love with those. And then I did some more research about how they Anishinaabe dancers would use them in their ceremonies and at the powwow. And I just really wanted to create like that. That spoke to me because I was a dancer and I wanted to see more of these items because in our powwow circles, I've never seen a birch bark fan before. So I went home and I'm like, I gotta make that. I have to do it. And so I went home and I made it. It took me like 2 days of sitting there like a crazy OCD person that I am. As soon as I get an idea of something that I envision, I have to just do it and make it, and I can't stop until it's done. And so it took me 2 full days to cut out the designs and sew them down and produce this fan. And when I make my designs, I like to use indigenous florals of the Great Lakes area. So the focal of this fan, I wanted it to be the wild rice because we have this story in our tribe of how we are supposed to live where the food grows on the water, where the wild rice grows. That's where we're supposed to settle our homes. That's where we're supposed to raise our kids. And so I wanted that to be the focal part of the fan. And then there's other florals, strawberries, seeds, vines, and leaves. And then the other design I wanted to incorporate on this fan was the otter track design. And so those are the geometric shapes, the diamonds in the middle on the handle. And we get that design. That's a traditional Anishinaabe design. We see it in a lot of beadwork. And we get that design from otters. In the wintertime, when they're hopping through the snow, they do like a hop, hop, hop glide, hop, hop, hop glide, and they leave these marks in the snow. And so for generations, we've been beading that pattern onto our bandolier bags and other beadwork. So incorporated that on there. And then I just kind of made a big, huge set that surrounded it. The fan, this is at the top, is a crossbody handbag, a necklace. Women traditional dancers at the powwow, they'll have like a belt bag, and then they'll have a knife sheath that they wear on as a part of their regalia. And then I made some otter track earrings to go with that too. And I brought that with me to the Santa Fe Indian Art Market, which is the biggest Native American art fair and juried art show in North America, and I would argue probably the world, you know. And it won first place, and I stood there in front of the table and I cried my eyes out because I'm just like a little Wisconsin girl going all the way down to the Southwest and bringing the birch bark with her, which they don't see birch bark down there. And so it really made me feel really awesome to represent my northern tribe and heritage down there. It was like a moment I'll never forget. And so last year, I just wanted to keep pushing to see how far my art could go. And so I was able to do my first solo gallery at the McCroskey Art Center in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. I named it the Indaji de Bendigosian, which means the place where I belong. And that spoke to not only where we as Anishinaabe people settle our homes where the food grows on water, but like it spoke to my, did I make the right choice in quitting my job and, you know, becoming a mom to a big family, and this is where I'm supposed to be kind of feeling that I got through that. And these medallions, these are the first big complex birch bark project that I did. I made 3 of these, and those are the pieces, because when I made those pieces, I cried when I made that first one, and I'm just like, I couldn't believe that I was actually kind of good at something. Like naturally, I felt like it was like my blood memory working through me. Because as I had mentioned before, like I wasn't raised on the reservation. My mom, she kind of broke away from her culture. And so for me to be able to do something that was kind of making that reconnection it was so meaningful. I was just like, I can't believe I'm trying this out and I'm kind of good at it. So it all kind of went from there and kept moving. I was able to do the Woodland Indian Art Market show. This was in Green Bay in November. And so my friend Adrienne Benjamin, she's a fabulous regalia maker. She made all of the clothing for this fashion show. And I worked with her and we paired different birch bark jewelry and items. And we had one awesome, really awesome fashion show. On YouTube, there's the show was videoed, and so if you type that in, you could watch the fashion show and see all of the different kinds of regalia and items that were in there, including ours, and it was just so great. And so the process, it takes a long time to produce these items. I don't glue anything down. Everything that I make, I cut every single individual piece. So I start with making my own stencils on like cardstock, and then I trace out my designs on there, make sure that they're even and they're what I want, and then I laminate it and make a stencil out of it. And then I trace that stencil onto birch bark. I cut out each individual piece, and then I sand the edges to give it like a really nice color, and it makes it nice and soft and kind of like a border. And then I take a needle and an awl and a pliers and I poke each hole and I sew each individual piece into the pattern against another piece of birch bark. And so I wonder if I can get this video to kind of show you how I made this purse. Oh, come on, no, stop. Uh, that big. Sometimes my hands hurt a lot when I'm making these big complex pieces because I'm like just holding them so tight, and I'm surprised I don't have like arthritis yet. Okay, how do I don't want to start from beginning. Does it let me start from where we were? Oh no, I don't want to play it from beginning. Will it let me start from the current slide? No, it won't. Okay, let's try that again. I wonder why. Wasn't there a play button to like play from this slideshow? Okay, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, play. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. It's been a long time since I've given a Zoom, like a couple years.
We're loving it.
Current slide. There we go. All right. So that was the TikTok on that. And so that brings me to the trunk show. All of these earrings that I have that I made, they're on the website, and the website's pretty easy to navigate. There's only a few pages, and it has all of these on there. So these I call my birch bark berries. They were made with the intent of being a strawberry, but then I had people that are like, no, they kind of look like rutabagas. I'm like, they can be whatever you want to be. I'll call them birch bark berries, and then you can wear them however you want to. And then these are a couple of the other things I have. trying to make a lot of small earrings. I noticed that there's like trends that go back and forth. Like a lot of people like the really, really big earrings, and then they'll go, and then some will like really small. And I feel like maybe it's like a bipolar thing too. People like either really small earrings or really big earrings. So those hearts. I've been making a lot of hearts. Valentine's Day is coming up. I really love using wampum shells too. There's like a history with wampum shells being kind of like a used to be like a currency back in the day between tribes. We'd trade it. And I just really love using different kinds of beads like that. I use a lot of Venetian trade beads too. Um, these are more wampum. And our powwow circles bows were really, really popular last year and the year before, and they still are. Instead of beadwork barrettes, I've noticed that a lot of girls are switching and wearing big bows in their hair, in the back of their hair. So I had to make something that kind of brought that out a little bit too. Been getting into do more applique. I want to do this year. I want to do more complex applique earrings. And so that was the goal with these, is just seeing how many layers and how big I can go with, some earrings. With the idea of doing maybe like more another fashion show, producing some fashion show, some statement piece earrings. This cowrie shell, we call it a migas shell. It's like I love making these necklaces out of them because they're just like a huge part of our self-identity as Anishinaabe people, and through like a lot of different cultures and religions and different people. I feel a lot of people connect to this shell. It's just a really pretty, shiny, beautiful shell. And we have an Anishinaabe story, like an identity story around this shell too. I use lion's mane shell. Those are some of the beads on this purple set. I love to use garnet too whenever I can. Garnet, there's a story about we would make our weapons out, our arrowheads out of garnet because we thought that it made it a deadlier weapon. I thought that was kind of a cool story. Like an Ogechida, like a warrior, speaks to our veterans, Tiger's Eye. I love Tiger's Eye too. And so we just started making, my daughter and I just started making these cards. She designs them all. I kind of work with her on the Ojibwe language. My daughter, Ariana, she is an animation and design student at UW Stout right now. And so we made some thank you cards in our Ojibwe language, happy birthday cards. And at the bottom here is our Valentine's version. I asked her if she would make a Valentine's card, and she got like these birds in she wanted to do something with lovebirds, and I said, hey, you should do your name. Her name is Miss Skobaneshi, which means redbird. And so she had some fun with that on that card. And then it was a really awesome idea. So on the front of these cards and on the outer part of the cards, it's all white birch bark. And then in the inside, when you open it up, it's the inner bark, the inner brown part of the bark. So I thought that was pretty clever. And so that's kind of all I got right now. Does anybody have questions or any comments or anything that you want me to tell
Yeah,
Well, I
you?
think you,
a bunch of questions.
yes.
Cool. Cool.
Do you want to
So,
start and go over them, Hannah?
well, I
Sure.
can, I think one of them's been answered, but we'd love to hear in a little bit more detail. Jan Lowe would like to know whether or not you're teaching your children the art techniques that you use. And you did say about the cards, but can you go into detail a little more?
About what we do? Okay, yeah. So all my kids are a part of the ceremony that we go to every single year. We do a lot of culture. My daughter, she's very artsy, Nova. She's been making necklaces with me. She's into drawing and she loves to do the drawing. These kids see me all the time sitting at my desk in the living room making birch bark and cutting it out. I even have my 2-year-old little daughter. She sits up up at my desk here, and she'll just sit here with me, watching me, and she'll grab the files and just kind of start to act like she's making the birch bark jewelry with me. It's so adorable. Um, and every year when we do ceremony, our kids are always a part of it. Like we make wigwams every summer. I'm like, I don't know how many families do that every single summer. And it's usually a couple times during the summer we'll go out and make a big awesome wigwam. And so I hope that they get more into doing the birch bark stuff, but I feel like everybody is kind of finding their own little niche in what they like to do. So yeah,
Thank
I don't know
you.
if that
Um,
answers.
we have a question, and I'm not sure who it is because it just shows up as iPhone 3. So whoever is iPhone 3 would like to know what cord or thread do you use to attach your applique?
Use a sinew. And I honestly, I get mine off of Amazon. Ideally and most favorably, I'd love to use real sinew. This right here, it comes on this little spool. It's like very like a waxed thread. And I don't know what thickness it is. Animal hide, this artificial. I don't think the artificial stuff is though, is it? But like real, yeah, to use real like animal tendons and stuff would be ideal. But yeah, it just comes on, it's very waxy thread. You can get it right on Amazon. They have different colors. I have a honey color up here too. Oh, oh, this one has a label on it. Artificial sinew tendon.
Oh, that would be the color. That's beautiful.
It says it's 300 yards.
Yeah, most bead stores sell it. Like Lotus sells it, Bobby Bead sells it in 3 colors. It's flat, isn't it? More flatter than, yeah.
And you can pull it apart too. There's a lot of times where I don't use it at the full thickness. I always tear the parts and use like a fourth of it maybe when I'm sewing down little pieces, depending on how big the pieces are.
Paulette would like to know when you make the cuts and holes in the birch bark, do you use leather tools or do you use a different kind of tool?
I think it is a leather tool. I'll show you. Let's see. This one is just from Hobby Lobby. I think it came from the leather section too. It's just like a very pointy little awl. And so I just push it down and it makes a nice little indent and hole. It doesn't go all the way through. I mean, I can push it all the way through, but when I'm sewing down, I just make the indent into it and let the needle pull the thread through so it locks in there tight.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Rochelle, would you like to read her the lovely comments that people said?
Oh my
We had a lot of
gosh,
people just said great things.
absolutely. And so, oh my, people are just so darn excited. And they really think that it's absolutely wonderful and they love the meanings behind everything and they really appreciate you sharing your journey with us. Family lore is really touched our hearts the way that you appreciate the nature and have are willing to share your traditions with us and so that we could understand and learn as well how because we may have all these trees in our backyard and we want all these mediums, but we want to be able to respect it properly. Um, and so that um we feel like you appreciate that we appreciate what you're doing. We don't want to, do it wrong if we attempt what you're doing. And so do you teach at all the different techniques as well in workshops or around or
Yeah, we hosted But last year we taught a group of youth how to make simple earrings and medallions. I've done that. I haven't gotten into too much teaching though. I would really like to explore that a little bit more this year. Yeah, but I'm totally open to teaching. I think it's great. I want to be able to help revitalize the art form itself and see a lot more people doing birch bark applique, birch bark jewelry. I don't want it to go lost, More people need.
Absolutely. I mean, especially in being a family, the way your husband and you work together.
Yep. I mean, we used to, this was our full-time job. It's my full-time job right now. He got elected to the tribal council here, so he still makes jewelry when he's able to. But it's been a really good life. Like, I never expected it to be as good as it was and is, as far as being able to be a mom to provide for my kids, making jewelry and selling it and making a really good life for us. It I didn't expect it to come so easy. It doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like, I don't know, it's just great. It's been a really awesome journey. Sometimes I feel like it's been too easy.
And when is your next show coming up, or is your schedule on your website so that people can see or where you're going to
I'll be
be?
adding more. I have a sale this Friday. We're going up to Cloquet. I think it's right at the Black Bear Casino. They have a Ojibwe language symposium, and so we're going to go up there and be a part of that. Um, After that, I think I'm going up to Mole Lake, um, on the other side of Wisconsin. I applied to go to the Shakopee powwow this year, and so it's kind of like getting juried into. So I applied for that. I really do hope to get into that one. I think that would be great to be up that way and talk to new people because I haven't sold up there before, and so being able to get up that area would be really awesome. And there's tons of people there too. Um, I also applied to Idle George, which is a museum out in Indianapolis, I think it is. And they have another big Indian art market. So I'm hoping to get into that one too. I just submitted, so I think that they said in March is when all of the um, acceptance or denials will come rolling in. Other than that, as a limit, people message me and be like, "Come up here. We have this thing going on. Come up and sell up here." And I've been doing a lot of business conferences lately. Oh, and
Good.
I was also invited to go to a River Falls. They have like a Earth Fest. They invited me to come out there and present and maybe do some demonstration. I also do River Fest in Hudson. I've done that the last couple years. Yeah. Usually I get invited to all these things, which is why I'm here today. Somebody just comes and reels me in, and then I never know where I'm going to be. But it's so nice when that happens. Gets me
Well,
out
I
of the.
think you really are doing what you're supposed to be doing. Your love for this really shows through your work. And how long is the season that is when the black flies start to come? I mean, that's like the heat of August, right?
And so I think we kind of go July. It
Hmm.
changes all the time now too. I think climate
Global
change has
warming.
been doing some weird things to us too. This last year, when we harvested, I got like the thinnest bark that I've ever had. And so I'm getting involved in some of the different networks and what's going on with our birch trees. I've been discussing with Glyphwick, Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife, and they have released reports that say that birch trees, like climate change, is really affecting our birch tree population, as is like hobbyists and people that are taking cutting down birch trees when they're just like little poles before they have the opportunity to like repopulate and seed. And so that's affecting them. So between climate change and those activities going on, down even down here, like I'm noticing really thin bark. Some of the elders are telling us that we need to go up north, like towards Ashland and even north into Canada to get like the durable, like thick bark that we've been using for generations. And so it's getting kind of scary to think that our birch tree population is dwindling. Like since I think it was like since the 70s and 80s, we're noticing like significant um, decline in population. So I don't know what the question was or where I was going with that, but
But that, I guess it's not surprising that climate change has really changed the bark. It's changed the harvesting and, the butterflies, how many we get up here and the migrations and
Lots of bees and lots of different.
Mhm.
Mhm.
so I mean we usually harvest June, July when it's really hot out is when it's the easiest. It pops right off. So like in the wintertime, if you try to harvest, I mean the bark doesn't come off. It's harder. Even in early spring, you're having to work hard and you don't want to pull on it and rip the inner part of the bark because then, like the disease could get into it and you just don't want to harm the tree. So June, July, probably July, August is the time that we take. Other elders have said that you can harvest in the wintertime, and I've never tried to get winter bark yet. So I'd love to get winter bark, more winter bark. And they say that it has like the darker like markings on it too when you get it, which I think is beautiful. I love
Mhm.
the darker markings and the thicker bark.
I love the breastplate necklace that's on your website. Um, do you have a
Yeah.
picture of that here too? I mean, it is just so stunning. I
Let
just,
me let me see if I'll just pull up my website here. So let me see. Oh,
it's just so beautiful.
all right. So this is my store, my website. We'll go to the shop and I'll show you some of the things that are in this. So
Yeah,
this
that one there. Of course.
So typically, this is like my idea of a cape style necklace breastplate. And so you typically see this part would be velvet with beadwork on it, but I wanted to do it in birch bark. So instead of beadwork florals and velvet, it's birch bark and more birch bark and then some cool beads. These beads that I used on this down here, they're called Venetian trade beads, and they're a bear paw bead, which totally spoke to me. And they're little white beads, and the design that they have in them kind of does look like a bear paw if you look up close to it. Also has some wampum on there, and of course my cowrie shells. I love to use those. And yeah, the idea was that maybe a jingle dress dancer would love to wear it and dance with it at the powwow.
Absolutely. So pretty. And the strength set that's underneath there, the three pieces. How are the three pieces worn together?
Strength set.
It's just right below.
Yep,
That
so
one, yeah.
yeah, so this is a knife sheath on the back of it. Do I have a picture of that back of it? Oh, I don't. It's a buckskin pouch on the back of it, and you put a knife in it. It would clip right to your powwow belt. Some earrings, and then the belt bag that would also clip. Oh, my 2-year-old is getting sassy and spicy, all of the things. And so that's a purse, and they just clip to the sides, one on the back, one on each side, however you want to wear it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let me read to you some of the nice messages that people have sent. Paulette says, "Thank you for sharing your journey and what beautiful bark designs." She loves the applique. And iPhone 3 says she loves the meaning. Paulette loves the purse. Beth says, "Wonderful, thank you." And Becky says, "Fabulous presentation, thanks." Terry, I'm sorry, it's Terria. No, it's Terry Algier. says, very interesting. Thanks so much for sharing. And Suze, okay. iPhone 3 is Suze. She says she just purchased a spectacular pair of earrings. She's excited.
Oh,
And Paulette uh, loves that she can wear your artwork. Uh, and Suze also says that she's a stout grad in their textile department.
ooh, that's fun. That's a fun area.
And then finally, Paulette would like to know how old a birch tree should be before you can or should harvest. Is there a certain age or size?
I try to hit the bigger ones. I don't know what the diameter would be. I tried just to make sure it's a nice, thick, big
I
tree.
think that tells us just fine.
Yeah.
I have birch trees that are just like little, probably about that big, and I'm just like, no. I mean, you want it to be able to be a nice flat piece when you get done harvesting it too, and only the big ones produce that kind of bark for me, so I only take off of the big ones. When I harvest too, oh, I didn't mention that too. When I harvest my bark, as soon as it comes off the tree, it is going, I'm cutting it down into smaller pieces. And then I put weights on it and I keep it and let it dry flat because there's like an oil or tar that dries hard. And so if it dries curled up, like I've never had success flatten it, like boiling it or soaking it and reflattening it. So as soon as it comes off the tree, it's getting cut down and putting weights on it, and then I let it sit there for a couple months so that it can really harden and dry, and so it doesn't curl. And I have success when I cut my pieces down to make earrings with it. A lot of times, I should say, most times I know how to work with birch bark now so it doesn't curl and it will stay flat for years. I have a pair of birch bark earrings that are like 15 years old and they haven't curled. So
Even in humidity, they won't re like,
That's
depending on the
amazing.
bark. And so
yeah.
that's like that thicker bark too, is because it stays flat. The thinner barks in humidity and heat. I mean, if you keep your any earrings, if you're taking them off in the car on a hot summer day, it's 90 degrees and the sun's coming in, and you put those earrings down in your car, almost 100% of them are going to start to have some sort of curl and wear on them. So you do have to take, simple care of them too. But the thick bark is usually the bark that's not going to curl.
And so what if it's already dried, curled, it's old bark? Can you cut it the same way? I mean, they're just pieces big enough that to use, but are you still successful or is it harder to cut?
For me, you got kindling then.
That's what I
Oh,
thought. It's
wow.
very fragile.
Yeah, I've never had success with being able to soak and try to flatten out curled pieces. And it depends on how curled it is too. If it's like a wide curl, which usually they're not. Usually when they curl, they are a tight
Yeah.
curl, and then it's just hard to get them to reflat or do something with them. This was a
Wow,
bird.
this was so great. Thank you so much.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
This is
it's so
fabulous.
interesting.
yes, you're welcome.
I really respect all the history that you're teaching us about the artistry and your life lessons and everything. It's just fabulous.
Just beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I love the hat.
Oh, I know, I love that.
It's
There's
just so cute.
There's another artist up north. I want to say he's Fond du Lac too, up by Duluth, and he makes some phenomenal hats, top hats, and baseball hats. He makes some baseball hats out of birchbark. They're just so neat.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I think his name, what is his name?
I
Phil
mean,
Sack.
you need a big piece in order for it
Yeah,
to be, and then, wow.
right.
Bernie just
That's a,
wrote in and said, fascinating. So glad to hear your story and learn about some of your culture, beautiful jewelry, and wearable items.
I'm so glad that you guys all enjoyed it. Like one of a big piece of what I want to do moving forward is it's like a humanities thing. You want to bridge, bridge the gap, bridge, cultures together, people together. I feel like that's what makes a difference in our world too, is to find common ground and, be able to relate to each other. And education is a great way to do that.
Absolutely. It's fabulous.
Sure is. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And so, yeah, maybe we have a workshop, in July on a hot day and we go out and
That would be fun.
yeah, if anybody has a whole lot of birch on your property, put it in the notes and we'll, take a road trip.
Right.
And so it was so much fun, so exciting. And I'm just very inspired. I love nature to begin with. And so I collect the birch bark, but I've never done it from the tree because I wasn't sure what to do or not to do. So I appreciate you sharing all those tips and tricks.
I have friends that make ornaments for their Christmas trees out of the birch bark. A couple of different years, I would take candles, make my own candles, and then I would take like the scraps that I had from birch bark and wrap it around the glass, and then take some sinew and wrap that around and make candles for Christmas, and I'd gift those out. So much things that you can do with birch bark.
I think
Yeah.
we have a birch bark candle that I picked up someplace. I don't know if it was in North Carolina or in Santa Fe area. I don't know, because I pick up different things to travel back in the day. So I have to remember. That's right. That is have birch around it. It's fabulous.
So yeah, well, anytime you decide to have stuff, you're officially a new UMBS member now, and we encourage you to post things on our website or Facebook. Send us anything you want us to post. We'll share on our website. But if
Definitely.
you want to post it on our Facebook page in the Facebook group, then all the members will see it and share it as well. So different things that you're doing. We hope that you will share with us and then we can share too.
So that includes things like classes or shows that you're going to be out, but also if you make a piece that you particularly like, we would love to see it. So
Yeah,
give us pictures too.
That'd be fun. Awesome.
yeah. Love and inspiration. And so I love your message and all the little hearts and bows and yeah. And so thank you so much. This recording will also be available to you. So that way we can share the link so that you could, it'll be up on our YouTube channel for for our members. And then we'll send you a link too. So that way you can share bits and bobs of anything you want on all your socials
And
as well.
it will stay up there forever. So we can
Yeah.
always go back and revisit. So yes, it's fabulous.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't wait to see you all. And if you want to join our Peace Ring project, everyone remember, either just keep us posted on how far you've got so that we got measurements, or else send them on in to us, give them to a board member so they can give them to us. Thank you so much.
And don't forget Saturday, February 21st, we're going to have our Zoom. Let's make peace rings together. And I will keep everybody posted on all what other groups are doing. And by the way, send me photos. So we'll be posting your photos of you make rings and your rings, what you have on your bead map. We're going to put that text in there and we're saving all those photos for our presentation at Grand Connection is August 6th. So
Right.
please post and share, post and share, and post and share.
Yeah, you got it. All right. Peace be with you all. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Rochelle.